Let's talk about things in orbit. So this applies to anything, planets around the sun, satellites around the Earth, asteroids around asteroids, moons around planets, that kind of thing. So let's take a look at a satellite. It's orbiting the Earth. Now, in our last unit, we talked about uniform circular motion very briefly, and we said that an object that is moving in a circle has a tangential velocity that is perpendicular to the radius, okay, and that there's a force causing it to turn. Well, if an object's in orbit, what is that force? Well, that force, the centripetal force, is actually the force of gravity, if we're talking about an orbiting object, okay? So we can actually use this idea to now decide how fast do we need to make the satellite go in order for it to stay in a circle. Because we know what the force is, because I know what the mass of the satellite is. So I can say mass times Vt squared over the radius. I know what the force of gravity is because I know this object's mass. I know the object's mass. I know I can figure out how fast it needs to go, okay, based on different parameters, and how far out that will mean it has to be. So gravity in this case is the centripetal force. It applies for all situations of objects orbiting other objects. Okay, one other thing. So let's say this is the Earth, but now let's add in a compressed sense, because it's much further than this, much further, not moon. Moon, the Earth and the moon, they're orbiting each other. So the force of the gravity, the Earth is pulling on the moon, so the moon is being pulled by the Earth, but the moon is actually pulling on the Earth as well, okay? And so while we often think of the moon going around the Earth and the Earth is stationary, what actually happens is they're orbiting each other. Now, the Earth is so much more massive than the moon that the Earth is going to do more of a wobble than, and you're not going to see the motion as much, like especially with our sun. The sun actually moves. It's not stationary. It wobbles, but it's nothing like you see the Earth flying around in circles around the sun, okay? So that's all I have for you today. You can look in Google Classroom, and I'll have your assignment there for you to practice all the stuff we've been learning. Thank you.